Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for clicking on the video if you're new. So what's a girl to do? She needs to get her watch hours up. She looks at her previous content and she thinks, what are we going to do? We're going to take two of the best performing videos, mash them together, make a mashup, and we're going to come up with this video. The video that people won't make, the video that women won't make, and the video that also men won't make. It's that skinny privilege trumps pretty privilege. And I feel I should explain. And I'm going to put a R warning on this video for rage bait so that you're aware this is a rage bait video. But I still think there's some truth in it. So if you want to help me out, I've made a video on pretty privilege and a video on skinny privilege that you can watch. So the pretty privilege video basically explained how the prettiest girls get the best men, they get the richest men, they get provided for, they get the provider male, and this is due to their pretty privilege. And if you're not new to my channel, you'll know my kind of philosophy that I've been talking about for a while, how men predominantly pick based on women's looks. I call it they pick with their dick, which is pretty crude, but hey, it's kind of apt. And how pretty privilege does exist. Pretty privilege, they get the best men, they climb the corporate career ladder faster. The halo effect of how people in general just tend to have more luck the prettier they are. And I explored that in my pretty privilege video. And in my skinny privilege video, I explored how I was treated differently when I was bigger and when I was thinner, and how definitely, on the whole, I think sadly, men treat thinner women better. They get treated better, they get taken out to dinner, they are shown, on the whole, more respect by men. They're more likely to be bought flowers, they're more likely to have the princess treatment than women that aren't thin. And I think on the whole, generally, men sadly treat thinner women better, and they're the ones that get picked. And how do I know this? From my years stagnating on a dating app. So here comes my hypothesis. Because we've explored both of them in general, but then I came to the realization that skinny privilege trumps pretty privilege. I was basically seeing women that were not as pretty as me, and obviously looks are subjective, and obviously men are allowed to have their preferences. But I was seeing this overall pattern again and again and again. Men were picking women that were thinner than me, but I lapped them in every other category. I was funnier than them, I was prettier than them, I had a better job than them. And I was thinking, why are men picking women over me and I'm lapping them in every category? And then I realized, oh, it's because of skinny privilege. It's because skinny privilege trumps pretty privilege. A man will pick a thinner woman over a prettier woman. And I was thinking, why is this? Why is this? Sorry, I've had to move my light. It was just blinding me in the face. And I was thinking, why is this? Why are men picking thinner women over me? And it's because the just love yourself was a lie. The just love yourself and men will come flocking to you was an absolute fucking lie. It had been a lie of just be confident, just love yourself, because these thinner women were absolutely lapping me. And there have even been studies done on how men pick different women depending on if they are looking for a short-term relationship or a long-term relationship. And the studies I've kind of looked at are that for a short-term relationship, men will concentrate on the body of a woman, and for a long-term relationship, men will concentrate on the face of the woman. But I still think in general, skinny privilege laps over everything. I've seen so many women and they literally have like the face of the back of a spoon, but they manage to get these men because they are thin. And you're probably saying, you're just projecting, you're just projecting. I think in some ways it's kind of impossible to have any type of opinion without some kind of projection. But it's kind of just what I see. It's that skinny privilege seems to lap pretty privilege. And any privilege I have or had by being attractive, by being pretty was outweighed by not being skinny. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that being skinny is more important than how your face looks, because I've seen it time and time again. Men will pick women and I'm like, they're not that pretty. Why are these men picking these women that aren't pretty but they have a nice body? And I was like, oh, it's because it's skinny privilege. It's because skinny privilege affords you some kind of cachet with men. And I was even thinking about beauty standards in general, because when I switched off my camera last week, I was like really close to camera and I saw my hair. And you can see now that my hair, I have pretty auburn hair. It doesn't really show up on camera, but I have dark brown hair with like reddish tints, and it's quite unusual and people tend to pick up on it. And in the summer it goes more of a reddy colour, which I really like, and I have green eyes, but the traits that I have are maybe 500 years out of date. I think 500 years ago someone would be painting me with my auburn hair and my green eyes. I'm in the wrong century. I don't have the beauty standard that men want. I'm not the stick thin girl that gets all the men. I'm something different. I realised that any pretty privilege I had was outweighed by the fact that I didn't have skinny privilege. The thing is, I kind of know that I am attractive because, without sounding like a complete douchebag, people tell me online and then in real life people say that I'm attractive. So I don't think that I'm ugly. I just think, from what I've been told online by commenters, is that you'd be really pretty if you were thinner. If you had a different body, I would like you. And it's because any pretty privilege that I had was cancelled out by not having skinny privilege. So women are even more fucked now, because we know we have to be really pretty and we know we have to be really skinny. And people will always say, oh, what you're saying is toxic to femininity. And it's generally not. I generally support women and love women, and I want women to do the best that they can do. But all I can only speak from my own experience is that any pretty privilege I had was cancelled out by not being skinny. The men weren't picking me on the dating apps because I wasn't skinny. There will always be some counter argument by someone that will say, look at me, I'm big and I've got a boyfriend, or something along those lines. And then I'll go and then I'll look on Instagram who their boyfriend is or whatever. And they're the type of man that I don't want, invariably not self-actualized. And we have to be honest, is that human beings are attracted to in-shape people. There is a certain skinny privilege that skinny women have, and skinny women sell more units. And it's not me being toxic, it's me just telling you how the world is. And nobody wants to see Ariana Grande looking how she looks, and I haven't made a video about it because I feel it's not really my place to get involved. I've had enough people over the years commenting on my body that I don't really want to comment on her body per se, but I think most people can see that she's probably in the grips of some kind of eating disorder and she needs help. It's not just her being lean. We've seen the photos of her with the black coffee and the sugar-free gum. We're not idiots. We know that something's going on. But we are moving back into the thinness era with Ozempic, with just in general. I feel that we sadly as humans have to prove ourselves online first. Before, humans would interact without being online and we'd get to know each other. But now you almost have to prove yourself online. And if you don't look the part on the dating app, if you don't tick all the boxes, if you're not pretty and in shape, you don't stand a chance. It's generally how I feel, is that skinny privilege will outweigh whatever you look like. I think it generally doesn't matter how pretty you are. If you're not in shape, a man will not pick you. He will not ask you out. He will not take you out on a date. And people say you're being toxic, but I'm not. If anything, the men are being toxic, because who are the men picking? The men are only picking the thin women. Women always respond to what men want. At the end of the day, men set the beauty standards for women and we follow. If men say we don't like pubic hair and women remove their pubic hair, if men say we like thin women, women respond to that. At the end of the day, women respond to the beauty standards that men set. Can you imagine me not shaving my legs and making my dating life even harder to get picked? Men set the beauty standards and women in general follow. And I was thinking of our friend of the channel, Sydney Sweeney, and I was thinking, why does she get all this attention and I don't? And it's because she has the really big boobs on the really thin body. She has the tiny waist. She has the tiny waist, but the massive boobs. She has the almost Lara Croft effect men liked, I don't know, in the 90s. If you look at most women with big boobs, like myself, they have big boobs, but they have weight in their arms. That's how you can generally tell if a woman has real boobs, is that she will carry weight on her arms. Because Sydney is an anomaly, I think that's why she gets so much praise, is because her body it's such an anomaly of the really tiny waist with the big boobs that men just love it so much. Whereas most women with big boobs have big arms and a big belly, and that's how you naturally get the fat placement on a woman. But she just seems to luck out. But then even when I was looking at her body, I thought, well, she's got the boobs, but she's got no bum. She doesn't have everything. So I generally think that skinny privilege trumps pretty privilege. I tend to think that's all what men want, is maybe an in shape woman. And at the end of the day, men are entitled to their preferences. And it's just sad that women struggle to find someone that can see past that. What I struggled with in the past is that I wanted someone to see past that. I wanted someone to see past the exterior, but we have to be real. Men do not see past the exterior. It's that old adage of your CV gets you in the door. And you can be this amazing, wonderful person, but sadly, it's your CV that gets you in the door. And this is sadly how men view women. They view women on their outside appearance and what they look like. And I always find that the women that are shouting on platforms about body positivity, about women loving themselves, are usually thin themselves. You'll get a few outliers that are overweight, but on the whole, people tend to just ignore them and see them as clowns. And we can see that they're really unhealthy as individuals. But it's sadly the women pushing the body positivity of just love yourself are usually thin women themselves that are actually using their thinness to be platformed, and they've used thinness their whole life to get where they want to be, and they're telling other women to not care about that. And I really want to mention someone's name, but I won't. But there's one person I can think of in the public eye who's literally lived their whole life being thin and pretty, and is telling other women not to buy into the thinness and being pretty, when women know that that is their escape route. For a lot of women, I don't really begrudge anyone being like a Russian sugar baby or someone using their looks to get what they want out of men. I don't really begrudge anyone doing that. Sadly, being skinny trumps being pretty, and any pretty privilege that you do have by being an attractive female is sadly outweighed by the fact that if you are overweight, it's outweighed. I even think of Lizzo and I think she looks so much better thinner. Like, there is no one on any side of the debate that could realistically say that she looks better bigger. She obviously looks better thinner. And in general, people do look better thinner. We can't get away from that. But I can only speak from personal experience, and trying to lose weight, oh my God, it's like a full-time job. Losing weight is literally like a full-time job. When I worked in an office and I was doing office hours, my face was so inflamed. I had so much like lymphatic drainage that was just crazy. And then I quit my job, and then my whole face shape changed. My whole nervous system calmed down. My face became leaner. And I am eating quite healthily, but I'm still kind of eating a few treats here and there. But my whole face became leaner, and it's because being thin is like a full-time job. It's no lie when they say influencers are paid to look like this. And it's true. It's because being thin, it is a full-time job. When I worked in an office, I was a lot bigger. But now I'm not in an office. My whole face has changed shape, my body's changed shape, and it's because largely I can eat better and largely I'm not as stressed as I was. So do you agree with me in the comments? Does skinny privilege outweigh pretty privilege? I would love to know, and please be respectful in the comments. Love you.